the alpha testing schedule for Dragonflight. And this is one of those things where, going back to the topic we just said, this is not going to matter to so many people who've made their mind up already.
Yeah.
I do think it's really good news. I really do. And even in some of the communications that I've received, they've made it pretty clear that they want to do something different with how they actually approach testing, not from a PR perspective, but from an actual testing perspective this time around. So they say, yeah, phase 1 of the alpha test begins July 14th. We already know kind of, what the focus is here. But here's what they say. Basically, they plan to do focus testing on zones early so they can get focused feedback on every single zone. Because if you just put it all up there, people get spread about. You just get feedback from everything. It's harder to categorize. So here, they are basically having specific zones be available and then be disabled to keep alpha testers in the active areas.
Makes sense.
Yeah, this is so much better. So much better. Just the idea that they're trying to have more focused testing, that is just great. I also say their goal is to roll a new phase out every single week. But
Cool.
did, of course, say that all this is fluid.
Great. Very happy that I'm in the alpha then.
Yeah. So, as for what we're going to get soon then, well, phase 2, which I suppose that's next week, is the Forbidden Reach. Then phase 3 is going to be Forbidden Reach and the Waking Shores. Then Forbidden Reach and Thaldraszus. Then that and Unrun Plains. And then after phase 6, all zones will be playable. And I think that's when they will soon turn it into beta. And then we will get more endgame content testing. But overall, they're going to need to have a better testing process than normal because this is a more compressed timescale, I think, that they're working in. But ultimately, they do seem to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be a little bit rough to have all of this stuff really super tested within a week for the hyper dense stuff, but hopefully it gets sort of sorted. It is at least they're going, hey, this is a thing. This is alpha beta has always been a big part of, I think, the World of Warcraft community experience of a new thing. So you might as well actually go through and do it half properly.
Yeah, exactly. So look, that's definitely good. We'll have to see if it actually works, of course. But there aren't really systems like Azerite that'll kill the expansion. But what they are going to feel. Want to do some predicting, Matt? Some doom. Not doom, but they're going to feel something that Halo Infinite has felt. Because in Halo, to get the cosmetics, it would usually be you do a cool thing.
Yeah.
But then in Halo Infinite, you had to you had to buy your cosmetics in the store or earn them through the battle pass. And that felt like a downgrade because most of the people who were playing Halo Infinite would have played Halo Infinite anyway. They would have bought it and then played a version of it that didn't have the monetization, customization stuff. It's like with Overwatch 2. A bunch of people are going to be really angry when they play Overwatch 2 because Overwatch 1 trained them to play for loot boxes. They enjoyed getting the loot boxes for free whenever they leveled up, right? That's where they did their, their challenges or whatever, all that stuff. And now in Overwatch 2, because it's monetized via the store, they're not going to have as much of that free shit because it's going to be on the battle pass. And it's going to feel worse. So here's the thing. Think of THD. Think of poor, dear, sweet THD.
I'd rather not, to be honest, but your work way.
Beautiful, blessed boy. Now, his entire brain has been massaged and manipulated around the idea of farming artifact power. So the second you take artifact power away from the poor man, he's going to hate the game. I'm being a little bit facetious there, but people were trained to play for certain sorts of borrowed power for a very long time. And now, when that borrowed power isn't there, oh god, you're going to have to actually play the game. That's a bit risky. You're going to actually have to experience the content and enjoy the content, and that means Blizzard's going to have to make content that's good enough to be experienced and enjoyed. So that's one of the things that I sort of, if I try to look out to the horizon, that's one of the things that I see as a challenge for the Dragonflight expansion. Just, people being used to playing for certain reasons and lots of people agreeing that those, reasons weren't really very healthy for the game in the long run. Then you take those things away and now somebody's intrinsic motivation has been replaced by the extrinsic reward. So it's, something we've talked about till the cows come home in this channel. And I think that's going to be a struggle for them. So I'm very interested to see how they deal with rewarding their players, how they deal with creating engaging content and all of that stuff, especially at the end game. Pretty fascinated to see that.
That's where I think, because I hate having to immediately sort of talk about this, but it's a thing that I think people are kind of maybe not super in the like kind of consciousness around the alpha testing, where it's like people go, oh well, the Shadowlands alpha, everyone said it was good at the start. They're like, yep. Do you know why that was? Because playing the alpha isn't playing the game.
Yeah.
It is playing small subsections of the game.
Yeah.
And in terms of some of the content, World of Warcraft, especially when you experience it fresh and there's a novel value, it actually is pretty good.
Bastion was
it's
beautiful.
pretty enjoyable. Bastion was beautiful. And, you know, it's the depth that it was kind of lacking. And that's the thing where the World of Warcraft experience is often very front-loaded and ultimately quite shallow in terms of enjoyable variety of content. And then it's like, well, come back the next day and you're like, well, what did I do today? Oh, I've explored. There's nothing else to explore. I guess I do the thing now. And that's it, where World of Warcraft is no longer the game where you explore forever. It's now the end game cycle. And you can't really test that super well in alpha.
Yeah.
Because
like
the entire vibe is different. You can kind of get it, and that's what makes it difficult. Even in beta, it's like you can't really just super play it. Everything's different about it. And that's the thing where it's like, yeah, the game isn't available to test. Parts of it are. And I don't like they could make all of the dungeons, the first raid, and you know, all of the zones available, and the game still wouldn't be available to test.
Yeah, because that's not the real experience.
All the parts of the game would be, but not the game itself.
And that's where I think having, you know, the design vision, to execute that is really. Yeah, it's really what's important. For me, it's like, I want a WoW that can move away from a seasonal model and still be successful. I think that a WoW that looks like that will be the most successful incarnation of the game. But then the problem is, because people have been trained around the seasonal model and the treadmill every 5 to 6 months, as soon as you take that away from them, they've actually... The game that they've been playing is now different, and they're untrained to play the game as it is now. And that's, you know, that was the trouble that so many of us did not see with the removal of Titan Forging.
Yep.
Because all of the criticisms of Titan Forging pretty much are true. But people were trained. They were trained to chase that high. And then chasing the high got them really frustrated. But then you removed that and they felt empty because the intrinsic motivation was gone. That's the friggin' scary thing.
Yeah, I mean, people do that to themselves in their real lives all the time.
Yeah.
I'll do this for the reward. I mean, that's one of the biggest problems people have with... I guess an example I'd use is probably... This maybe a little bit blends into some sort of identitarian, some sort of cultural rat race stuff, but like, how many times do you watch something because you feel you should watch it, as opposed to wanting to enjoy it? And that's like, kind of World of Warcraft does the same thing to itself. It's like, play this for the happy feeling of getting the bing bing, as opposed to actually playing. That's the unfortunate thing, that everyone's just there. Yeah, operant conditioning, yeah, that's what it is. It's operant conditioning and it works, but it works too well.
Yeah, that's it.